Hello everyone, this is CJNovo992 and today we're back for another brand new video and we're here to talk about a centre back. God, I need a minute. Now in all seriousness, it's always very nice to sit here with some positive talking points and at least a positive subject. Now some might be happy, some might be sad the longer you watch today's video because we're really going to break down this transfer and what it means and what player he actually is and what player he's not. Stay tuned for that one. But before we go ahead and start kicking the old tires, let's just me and thee just take a wee moment to welcome the latest sign-in to this football club and a massive welcome to Rafael Fernandes. But pleasantries and all out the way, let's do what we're here today then, shall we? Find out what on earth we're brought in to the football club because I can imagine not many have even heard of the name before. We didn't do a rumour video on this one because honestly, there's not much to actually say. There's very little meat on these bones in terms of what this lad's done in his career so far. I went and done a rumour video where they really picked that bone clean and left nothing for us to really discuss. So instead of just doing maybe that and then having to sit here and repeat myself and annoy you, so I thought let's just save it here and we can really break down now that there's no questions or rumours or people saying I've never even heard of this guy before. Well, you've heard of him now. He's at the club. So what we're going to do, look at his player profile, break down the old football CV and talk about the competition for places which I would argue is more interesting than anything else we're going to talk about today. But as we do go on yet another voyage together, if you don't mind hitting that like button, that'd be greatly appreciated. Or if you haven't done so already, please consider hitting that subscribe button. We're nearly at 66k already. We just hit 65k the other day. The support, honestly, has been sensational, and it is mind-blowing to see it after all these years still going up. So I greatly appreciate everyone, whether you are a new subscriber or one of those ones that's helped build this channel and stuck with me through thick and thin. It is always greatly appreciated. But I'll go try and earn that like or earn that subscription, or to keep that subscription then, shall we, by talking about the latest signing to this football club, who again is Rafael Fernandes. He is a 22-year-old centre back for Portugal. Now, a record with Portuguese centre backs are a little bit mixed, but let's not hold that against him. Instead, let's be excited at the prospect that he stands at 6'3", so at least he's got a bit of height and at least makes us a little bit taller, because I'm sick of the average size of this squad being 4'11". It really stresses me out. But and this is unfortunately where I feel like I'm going to annoy a lot of people, because people fire in the names and fire in the height and calculate it to find out what the hell it is and this, and here's 6'3", the centre back, and they're all like, yes, we finally went and got that big grass-eating angry SOB that's going to come out here and bully and just be a nasty. But unfortunately, that's not really what I've been able to find about him. Now, I'll be honest, I didn't know too much about him before the links started to happen, but as always, whether I know the player or no, I try and strip all that away and go in, research, read what I can, translate, use Google, figure out what the hell people are actually saying, both fans, staff, and anybody that's worked with him. Then I try and bring all the evidence here and all the information here. I give it to you, and you sort of decide how you feel about him. So I never knew too much about him, so it's maybe helped me on this aspect, because I've now know what he's known and what he is, ladies and gentlemen. Right, so he is 6'3", which is very nice. He does add the old height, but is he that big nasty aerial threat that's going to dominate centre backs and dominate centre forwards? Unfortunately, no. A couple of the key attributes you constantly hear, and a couple of the key strengths this man's got to his game is his athleticism and his recovery pace. Now, I don't know about you, but hearing a guy be constantly praised about his recovery speed to get back in a position does make me a wee bit nervous, because I'm wondering why on earth is he always out a position. But he is obviously still a young laddie, but that is his strengths. It's that power and pace across the run and how quickly he can eat up, catch players and give them a wee shove out the way, which again is still a positive and much needed to a very slow back line. But I just wanted to come out right in front and tell you what he is and what he isn't, ladies and gentlemen. He's not that aerial threat that's going to bully everybody on the air, but what he is got raw pace back there. Honestly, rough as anything, but when it works, he's a very tidy player. He can eat up the grunt, he can push people out way. And thinking about what we struggle with 99.9% of the season, or what Proper so far struggled with in his Rangers career, is that one simple long ball in behind him, if you're looking at it that way, and if you're just looking at his strengths and what he's able to do when he does eventually get on the park, you can understand maybe why we're bringing him in January. Not only because we're in an injury crisis, if you will, but where we're actually being stung, especially in these away games, these balls in behind him. This laddie right here should eat that up. But I know everyone's hating me because he's no the Katic in the air style centre back, but again, he's still got very interesting attributes and very interesting strengths that I think do help our team out, especially if it translates to the Scottish football this season and possibly beyond if he does go ahead and make the cut. You know what I mean? He could add something different to this backline and add us a bit of a threat and stop a glaring weakness in our game, again, if he translates and be able to make it. But the only other thing we've not really spoken about, because I was a wee bit nervous to do it, if I'm honest, because I wanted to just tell you about the aerial threat first, is his ability with the ball at his feet, which again I've seen very mixed results, you know. I mean, something that he's good at is getting on the ball and driving forward with it, maybe a wee dribble beyond, or maybe pressing there if the ball comes into him, pushing it to the halfway line, then kicking it over. But again, he's not really the greatest with the ball at his feet, so maybe that's when the recovery speed is needed, because he might pass it on there, they might lose it, and then they try and play in behind them, but again, he eats up that grunt. So he is, I wouldn't say he's as comfortable on the ball as a Clinton Nasala that we've seen with our very own eyes, but he is one of those ones that's getting the ball and he's not afraid to take it forward if he needs to. But whether that space is going to translate up here the way we play and everything, that remains to be seen. But that's it, ladies and gentlemen. His biggest strengths is that athleticism, it is that pace and the recovery, and again being brave enough to take it forward if he needs to take it. And that's true flat regarding his player profile. He does play the right centre back position, but he has also played over in the left. But I imagine the way we're going and the fitnessy players and how we've been playing the likes of Dujon Sterling over the last couple of months, he would slot right into that position there. And dare I say, we might eventually see, depending on how the decks end up unfolding, or at least the way I'd like it to unfold, maybe, just maybe at some point we'll see Clinton with the ball playing ability, with the ball at his feet, and then the pace, say Rafael next to him. It's a very raw as dough backline, if I'm honest with you. I'm not saying they're ready to do this and do that, but again, if we are on a project, if we are on a rebuild, and we are here, that's what this season's for, giving these young laddies an opportunity to play. And aye, he's maybe rough around the edges, but sometimes that can buff out to be a diamond, and it'd be lovely if we eventually get one. But enough of the old player profile. I think I've prattled on enough. Let's go ahead and talk about the numbers and stats then, shall we? And it won't take us too long. At the age of 22 years old, he has made a whopping 0 appearances so far this season. In fact, 0 appearances since he joined Lille for around about €2 million last January. Now, he has played in B leagues and reserve leagues, or whatever the equivalent of that is over in French football, but you know me, you know what I mean, I didn't hide this fact. I'm not interested in that stuff because it's complete irrelevant. I want to know about what he does when he gets to the top flight and how he can handle playing professional games. And again, in over a year, he hasn't played the single game, which, again, does sound like maybe a Clinton Nasala. It does sound like a Calvin Bassey when you think about these laddies being brought in for youth academies. Obviously, Calvin Bassey was brought for Leicester's youth academy. Big Clinton came for AC Milan's, having barely touched the grass. Right, it does make you think that, but that's where we've got to stop it, because the year prior in the Portuguese league, before earning his move to France, he played 17 games in all competitions, in which he picked up 2 yellow cards and received a red, which actually makes him by far the best ever red to game ratio player we've ever looked at. So shout out our boy Raf. Can we get a couple of claps in the comments? That's scary. But what thankfully isn't scary is his overall match reports and how the fans spoke about him, or at least what I was able to find on the old social webs, is the fact that he was actually pretty good in Portuguese football. Enough actually to play not only in the 17 games, but we've talked about really breaking in and making his name known in his first professional season, is the fact that he helped them finish 7th in the league, as a Rokra went ahead and finished 7th. To put that into perspective, where they are this season, they actually sit 16th, just 3 points off the bottom. So if you want to look at it that way, ladies and gentlemen, what impact he put in a backline, being a young lad, just getting his first experience in football, the drop-off defensively is quite clear. So again, you can look into that and give a wee bit of stock, say he was actually an important piece to a team that is defensively rotten this year, but when he was there, they finished 7th in the league. Again, it all just depends on how you want to look at it, and if you're a half full or half empty style guy, this one's really in the middle of the line, and I'll see, and I can understand why people may be excited about it being another prospect. Again, Coppin got a pretty good record of picking these lads that's barely played any football, the Jeffdies, the Clinton, what I've seen more likely, the Iggamans, however, and then you've got this lad coming up the road. He's shown enough in his pedigree already at this club that he can pick a player or two, so that's exciting. But again, on the other side, people might be looking at that and being like, the guy's barely played a game again, he's barely done this, he's barely done that. This one's a wee bit of a worry if he's even going to play, and that's fair. As always, you can let me know down in the comment section below. But before we get to the old competition for places, there is one little thing that I do want to talk about that I've seen maybe like sort of clickbaited, not really yet, but I feel like it might snowball down the hill and become a wee bit something, and that's the fact that he is injury prone, which isn't really true. Now, he is listed having 2 injuries so far in his career, one of them early on in his career, very early on when he was on the bench for 2 games in Portuguese football. That was 2 that he missed, and then another one where he's listed having missed 10 matches for Lille due to a quote-unquote dead leg. Now, missing 10 matches due to a dead leg does sound like he should be a Rangers player, but I don't know, it doesn't really make sense to me because he wasn't playing anyway. Do you know how sometimes Jack Butland, when he was at Man United, would be listed as an injury and a website would just put him as an injured for that, even though he was the third choice goalkeeper and he wasn't getting picked anyway? I think that may have happened over there because, again, a dead leg, 10 games isn't really making sense, especially when considering he was never picked for Lille anyway. So I'm not really believing in the clickbait that's that shoot. They're saying it's injury prone, but again, we're signing him, so you never know, ladies and gentlemen. But I nearly forgot to finish up his footballing CV. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. 17 games is all that he's been able to muster so far in his career, and again, he has those 2 bookings, and one of those being a sending off. That's all he's been able to bring to the plate, and I do find it very interesting because the other day there we looked at a Lyle Cameron, or the other week there, I can't even remember what day it is, if I'm honest with you. We looked at Lyle Cameron and we spoke about him. He's 22-year-old, so is Rafael. Do you know the difference between the two of them? Lyle's got 150 games under his belt, Player of the Year awards, top goal scorer awards, all this stuff, and no one's interested in Lyle. But Rafael Fernandes has people gone mental online on some excitement, and I'm like, why? Ladies and gentlemen, you know what? Lyle should have got that bit of excitement when we're linked with bringing him in, considering what he's been able to play. But I get it, it's almost the excitement of the unknown, which Rafael Fernandes is, and I imagine because of Iggaman and Jeff and Clinton and that, he's got some expectations up, and that's what we put at the fore of the laddie because we don't know anything about him. But again, I just thought that was so interesting to look at the different types of reactions. Both of them's the exact same age. One of them's barely played there. He's got 150 games and enough trophies in his room to set up a display cabinet, but then one's more interesting than the other to us, but it's just the way it is, isn't it? But I get into the old competition for places, which I probably promised you far too long ago, if I'm honest with you. The reason we're bringing him in on January, we're getting him in the door right now, is simply because we are going through not only an injury crisis, I feel like it's beyond that right now, is I don't think there's many centre-backs at our club that we can trust with staying injury free. We can trust Balogun, we trust these guys like that. We like Big Soapy, we like, that's about it really in the centre-back position. But again, we can't really rely on them to stay fit. Even Robin Propper, who's probably played 3 good games out of his last 6, starting to look like something. He's broke down for the 3rd time already, and we just signed him in August. There's a real problem in there. We've had to play Sterling in a lot of games at centre-back. Then he got injured, so it makes sense why he's here, as we are doing it the barest, the bare bones. But what I don't want to see is the likes of Rafael Fernandes taking game time away from Clinton Nisala. You know what I mean? He's broke through. Again, I'm not sitting here, and I know it will turn. I know he's going to have a mistake, or I know he's going to have a bad game. I know he's going to do this and this. That's what's going to happen with young players. We need to be there to support them when that happens, and then they just turn their backs on players as soon as they go through a tiny rough patch. When you're young, you're breaking through. It's going to happen. The excitement's going to be there, but the dunes are going to be there as well. That's just what happens when a young player making it in the game. But I just don't want to see us getting lost in it and lose one of our own youngsters, bringing them in there and dropping them right back out because we've signed somebody shiny new. One of them's a left centre back, another one's a right centre back. I wouldn't be against seeing both of them, but again, that's a very, very inexperienced backline, if I'm being honest, and 2 players that are still very rough around the edges. And I think I've expressed that with Big Clinton. There's a lot of like about him. He's got a lot to learn, and I think a lot of that's with the same with Rafael, with what I've been able to actually find. Very good at this, very good at about that, but his recovery speed's needed because he's not really switched on and getting beat with balls in behind. But that's what's going to happen with young players. They need to learn, and they have to be given game time to learn. And I feel like maybe, just maybe, we're slowly but surely creeping away. And I feel like Klopp especially is bringing in these players and forcing them in to eventually get the opportunities. This is where we need to be. We need to be a development club right now for these younger players, buying them in, taking a few risks, doing this right here. No fix me projects on high wages like we've done in the past, bringing in these laddies that's shown something, maybe got a good reputation here, getting high praise for it, bring them in, develop them over a couple of years, and then sell them on for a wee bit of moolah. And that's what I think the only likes of Clinton, but Jeff, Iggaman, etc. And you never know, Raf, if he does stay here full time, he could end up becoming that style of player. But that's it, ladies and gentlemen, regarding the competition for places. He is more of a right centre back, but again, at the B League and Reserve League, you know what it's like down there. No disrespect, some of these players will never make it, so you can sort of play anywhere and you get away with that type of stuff. So it's hard to really narrow down if he can play at left centre back. But for me, he's a natural right centre back, so I imagine that's where he's going to be playing. But aye, that's it, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. There wasn't too much information on him, but what information is actually out there, there's enough to get positive about if you forget what you feel like we need at the club in terms of that big nasty in the air spitting on player style player. He's not really that type of bully, but again, he brings his own attributes and brings his own strengths, and that could help some of our vulnerabilities in that back line. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen, that's our newest sign into the football club. What's your thoughts and opinions down there in the comment section below, and hopefully you leave today's video knowing just a little bit more about the latest sign, and if so, you can let me know down in the comment section below. Are you happy, are you sad, are you mad, or are you glad? You can let me know. And until next time, I've been CJ92. Thank you so much for watching, all the best, and goodbye.